Okay, so we are now up to Mishlei 10:20. Okay, and this is going to be one that the translation is. We might have to go through several translations. I should have asked you to bring pens, those who are here, so you could like write down because you're not going to be able to see my typing. But whatever. I have one pen to lend if you want to borrow a pen. But
yeah, I have a few of mine.
Okay, if people want, do you guys want?
I could probably use it myself. So.
Okay, fine. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll wait. Let's just pause this for 1 second here.
You can continue.
Continue. Okay, fine. Oh, I have one. Yeah. Okay. All right. So pasuk says like that. Kesef nivkar lashon tzadik lev rashaim kimaat. Isaac, Sarah, am I on?
Choice silver.
Yeah.
Is the tongue or the feet.
Yeah.
Of a Tzadik.
Mm-hmm.
The heart/mind of the giant is like small.
Yeah, is like small. Okay, yeah. So that's pretty good. Choice silver, okay, is the tongue of a tzaddik, or the tongue of a tzaddik is choice silver, and the heart, which is heart or mind of the wicked, is like small. Okay, yeah. Tzadik Gaon says, and this is not the only translation we're going to do. Okay, just brace yourself here. Okay, so Tzadik Gaon says, Lashon HaTzadik Kesef HaNivkar V'lev HaRashaim Katan. Okay, so he just small, right? The only difference, so Tzadik Gaon says, let's see if there's any differences. The tongue of the, or I guess a tongue of the tzaddik is like choice silver. Okay, so he said it's like choice silver. He moves the like, right?
It's like choice.
Choice, yeah.
What adds in like?
Yeah, he adds in like, but I'm saying like it's like he transplanted the like from kimaat to kesef.
Well, I mean, it's either a metaphor or simile.
Right, but the pasuk doesn't say kesef nifar is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Lev Rashaim, the Lev HaRashaim, and the heart of the wicked is small. Okay. And then the Targum Ksuvim, I think, is just exactly literal translation. Samad Gavia Lishne the Tzadika V'liba Derashia Machasa. Okay, so I'm just going to delete that because it's the same. And we've got our English translations, which you can see down at the bottom. The tongue of a righteous person is choice silver, but the heart of the wicked is minute. Okay, I don't know why they went with minute instead of small. I guess because ma'at can be both. Living Mouth says the righteous man's tongue is choice silver, the heart of the wicked is fleeting. Right. So how are they learning Kima'at?
As a statement of time. Yeah,
temporally small, right? Not like size, small size.
I feel like there's some other context where it's used like that.
Yeah. I feel like also. And then Alter says choice silver. Is that the Omer? No. Choice silver, a righteous man's tongue, but the heart of the wicked is worthless. So that's like taking a little bit too much liberties, for my taste for now. It might be a good interpretation, but it's not a translation. So I'm going to cross that out. Okay, so what are the questions here?
How did we translate it first?
Choice silver is the tongue of a tzaddik. The heart of or mind of the wicked is like small.
Heart or the mind.
Yeah, it's an awkward thing, like small. Yeah.
My question is what's the comparison between like silver and small?
Okay, what is the comparison? Oh, you mean like the okay, good. Between silver, choice silver. Let's say choice silver and like small.
I was going to have to ask about the choice.
Yes.
So, what is like? What aspect is highlighted by saying it's choice silver?
Yeah. Okay. So what? So I guess What is
the silver and what aspect?
What? So what is the comparison to silver, and why specify choice silver? And if you don't like the word choice silver, what do you think choice silver means? I mean, we don't use the word choice in that way in English these days.
I think we do. So
we do.
Not in everyday conversation. Like, you give me a choice steak, like
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think.
I was gonna say like the best, probably.
Yeah, the best, exactly, right? Yeah, so I would say like, I'm muted.
The value, the value of the silver in terms of the level of, purity or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a possibility for the meaning of choice silver. I just want to say I think we would use the word best silver or high quality silver. I think it's just like better than choice. And I'm going to put that there because choice silver just sounds weird to me. So I'm going to say high quality silver. And I'm also going to reverse the order. I'm going to say the tongue of the tzaddik is, and I'm going to put in brackets like, okay, high quality silver. And now we can just modify Isaac's question. What is the comparison to silver and why specify high quality silver? Okay.
If you don't put in the light,
yeah.
Like then there's a doesn't everything that you're supposed to.
Yes, that would probably not be what it's saying. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the comparison between the tongue and the heart?
Okay, good. So let's say what is the comparison between the tongue and the heart? And I feel like I'm not going to go back and check all the pasukim we've done so far, but I feel like we've had a lot of pasukim of comparing two different types of speech, maybe some with hearts. I don't know, but like tongue and heart, yeah.
Is the rasha the opposite Tzadik, or the rasha opposite Chacham, or
rasha is going to be the most direct opposite from the Tzadik. So that one I'm not asking about simply because there's nothing weird about that. But yeah. But we can ask our usual question.
How are we defining Tzadik?
Yeah. What are the definitions of Tzadik and rasha in this context? And I'm going to say this again because you never know who's listening. is there in Mishlei? There's always sometimes the pasuk is using a technical definition, and like each of the Mefarshim, including myself, has like our own developing ideas of what the technical definitions are. Sometimes it's generic definitions. So Tzadik is just the good guy, the person who makes good decisions, and Rishayim is the bad people. So we have to. So I'm going to say, is this are these being used technically or generically? Yeah.
Going back to number 3, is there? I'm confused about heart/mind in the original translation.
Yeah. So in biblical Hebrew, the word lave can either mean heart or mind, and in English, I don't know if it's English or if it's in like Western society, we automatically associate the heart with emotions. So like when I translated as heart/mind in order to show that those are two equal possibilities, for the translation. Yeah.
Is it a given that the tongue represents the speech, or is there any?
That's a good question also. Okay, so let's say so why does it refer to speech using tongue? And again, here we have two possibilities. That's how we say speech, like lashon hara is not bad tongue. It's not like a medical condition, it's bad speech. And but if we could figure out the nuance about why it says tongue instead of like, what else could it say? Mouth, dibur, it could just say like straight up speech. Lips, right? So palate. Yeah.
Could you scroll up for a second?
Yeah, just 1 second. Lips, mouth, speech. Yeah.
Okay, I doubt this, but when I first read the pasuk, could kimat also mean like also, like in Hebrew, like maybe, or it could mean something besides small?
What are you thinking? I mean, I know the word you're thinking of. I'm just trying to think, is that a biblical term? I don't really know.
Okay, fine.
I didn't see any of the Mefarshim say that, so I'm not going to assume that, but it's possible.
What about limited? I feel like I've heard it as
because
limited.
ma'at means
limited might be a good translation.
Gomer ma'at b'aseh harbe,
And more ma'at, right? But kima'at though, the way that you're saying, I haven't heard.
Okay, fine.
Right? Yeah.
There isn't a small amount.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Do we ask what the lave was?
What the what?
What the lave is?
The lave is? No, we didn't. What does lave refer to in this context? And I might as well just say, what is special about the heart / mind of the tzaddik? Oh, the rasha, right? Rasha, speech of the tzaddik. Yeah, I might tip my hand there. Yeah,
Wait,
What
and-
is like small?
yeah. Okay. What is
Yeah. What
kimat?
is the thing? The leaf is small or something else? It's
Yeah.
small.
Why I say
And what's the like?
Yeah.
What's the stuff?
So let's say small in what sense? Why the kaf of comparison? In fact, there is one of the Mefarshim who says, "Don't look, don't look, don't look." Someone says explicitly it's not the kappa dimyon. Let me see what he says because maybe oh. Okay, yeah, we're gonna reserve that for a little while. That's already giving you an answer.
is this the second half the implication? I mean, the second half of the pasuk is the implication.
Time. Yeah. Anyone need the bracha for Omer? Okay.
No, we did a mark.
All right. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu al shkirat Omer. Hayom shisha asar yom shehim shnei shavuot u'shnei yamim ba'Omer. Okay, yeah. And now I can turn this off. You know, all of the other notifications probably were Mazel Tov for Isaac, and so we should all say Mazel Tov for Isaac for getting engaged. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Really interrupted my own.
It's God who's interrupting you, or the Rabbanan, depending on whether you hold serious Omer or Rabbanan. Yeah.
I think the second half of the pasuk where the pasuk says that the rasha has a small heart, right? Is the implication that if he has a big heart, he's not a rasha?
Good question. All right. Good segue. Okay. So now let's make things more complicated. Okay. We talked.
What was that question? Repeat it.
So he said the fact that it says that the rasha's heart is small, does that imply? You said does that imply that the tzaddik?
Well, does that imply that the tzaddik's heart is big?
Yeah, the tzaddik's heart is big.
Or can a rasha have a big heart? And what does that mean?
Okay, well, can a rasha have a big heart? I'm not so concerned about because the pasuk is saying he has a small heart. You know, so I mean, theoretically, like I guess we'll have to address that, but like, there's nothing in the pasuk. Like the pasuk is definitely not saying the rasha has a big heart, right? The pasuk is emphasizing the rasha is small. But here's the thing: the tzaddik has the fact that the tzaddik might have a big heart. We've seen psukim like this before, where you have this is what I call the ABCD psukim. You know, where it's saying the tongue of the tzaddik is like high quality silver, and it's not talking about his heart, and it's saying that the heart and mind of the rasha is small, but it's not talking about his tongue. So either it's only making the first statement about the tzaddik and the second statement about the rasha, or you mix and match.
Right.
So if we mix and matched it,
what's the opposite of silver?
so hold on a second. I'm going to call this the correlation, or the let's call this the symmetrical translation. Symmetrical. That's not how you spell symmetrical. It's two M's. Symmetrical translation. So if we want to flesh out this pasuk in full and put each half into the other half, what would we say? We'd say the tongue of a tzaddik. The tongue of a tzaddik is like high quality silver, and
like a big.
And his heart is big, right?
Like
and his heart, his mind is like big, is like big. Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna say big for now. We'll add like if it ends up being important. And then the heart/mind of the wicked is
they're not kesef or
like small and limited, and then in brackets we have to put
is like low
quality
copper.
Yeah. And his tongue is
it's either not silver or it's silver but low quality.
Yeah, what were you saying? Silver tongue devil, never heard of that.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Silver. Yeah, it's like someone who can like talk people into like.
Oh, I feel like that's not how it's being used by the tongue, but maybe it is. I don't know. Yeah, so let's just say like the. That's true. Is the opposite of high quality silver. Okay, whatever that is.
Low quality silver.
Well, but that might not be low enough. That's why Zach went to copper.
Wait, what?
Zach said low quality copper.
I
don't know if you can hear. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, this is the problem now that we're in person. Like everyone has to talk about it. But yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay, so that would be what we're calling the symmetrical translation. We don't have to assume that, but we've seen psukim that are like this, and and it's a common Mishlei thing. And then the only reason why Mishlei doesn't spell it out is because these have to be short proverbs, so you can convey it all in one. Okay, are we missing any questions here?
What's the practical?
Yeah, this one, the practical thing is not clear, right? Practical and audience are both not clear, correct?
And the audience?
Yeah, who is the intended audience? And then what is the practical application?
The way your last final translation might not be a question, but in terms of how it's spelled in the Hebrew, it puts the high quality silver before the tongue.
Yeah.
I don't think that just, at least in English, I don't know if it's
yeah.
in Hebrew, but
Yeah, I also don't know. So I'm that's why I'm fine playing fast and loose with it. But yeah.
Nifar definitely means choice, doesn't mean chosen.
That's a good question. I think it only means good stuff, but it comes from the word chosen. It's like the one that you would want to choose, the choice worthy, Yeah, I don't think it means chosen like the one that you chose, like factually. I think it means like the one that is choose worthy. Yeah.
Having a half explanation, that's maybe a full explanation that hinges upon it being chosen.
Okay. Well, keep that to yourself. Yeah. I was going to say that, just 1 second, one more thing I want to say here. I feel like we're not getting, this one, I feel like, I do want to fill in though okay. This is another question we're missing. What's weird about comparing to silver?
It's not gold.
Yeah, it's not gold, right? So I'm going to add this to our question number 2. What is the comparison to silver and why specify high quality silver? And then why not gold, right? Because usually you think of silver as second best, So, and there are other valuable things also, like jewels or like, rubies, so why silver?
Very simple surface explanation. I mean, gold is in Judaism associated with what is that?
But gold is also like, Kohen Gadol's thing on, menorah and Mikdash and and Torah, right? Yeah.
Everything's the gold.
Right. Yeah.
I did have a question that might you can answer though, but I feel like there's been explanations that just don't bring them to mind. It's like the different boxes within the Aron.
Yeah.
It's like wood, silver, and gold, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Is there silver in the Aron?
I thought it's made of gold, and it was.
I think it's.
I think it's made of wood and plated
with gold, but I don't think
there's 3 layers. I don't know if it's one of them.
Gold, wood, gold.
Yeah, I don't think there's silver, but I don't.
Okay.
Let's
go with them.
I haven't seen the Aron lately. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's gold and wood.
Gold and wood, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So on question number 5.
Yeah.
I'm just maybe it's very possible you said this before, but maybe I'm just not copying. Like, why are we specifically asking it here when in other pasukim we just kind of assume like ton means speech? Like we didn't ask a question on it.
We usually list it just because in case someone can answer it. Don't we?
I feel like recently we haven't really been doing that. We just kind of been taking it I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, well, maybe I forgot what we usually do. It's been so long since we had a Mishlei here, but yeah. So we're listening it. Oh yeah, sure. Right. I'll do that. Well, actually, I won't do that while we're thinking about it. All right. You just need the questions, right? Actually, you know what? I'll do it everything.
Right.
Yeah, hold on just 1 second here. You can start your thinking time now. I mean, is there anything else that we're missing here? I don't think so, right?
I don't know. I feel like we haven't listed a bunch. We usually do.
I don't know if we wrote this down, but
yeah. Well, I'm copying and sending this now. So. Yeah.
In terms of the Kimat, is the leave of a rasha actually small? And so then what's the stuff?
Okay. Yeah. I think let's just keep that in front of that question. Okay, so who am I going to text this to? So let's see, hold on a second here. No. I'm going to text it to Ariel and then...
What are your content share? I mean, everyone's on there now.
Oh, I flood my content share with okay, I'll send it to Ariel and I'll send it to everyone here. Give me a second.
Wait, can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Why is it that
think we
when it talks about the Tzadik, it's just in singular, but Rishaim is plural?
Right. So
As
that's one, Rifki, that we're not going to list. Okay.
I was thinking. Like,
Yeah. Hold on just a second. I'm just gonna, just because I can't do this all at once, I'm just gonna send this to people right now. Okay. So we've got Zach, and we have Hadassah, and we have Ayala Fader, and we have Leah Cohen, and we have Isaac and Boone. Okay.
In what way is the rasha of the Tzadik on the far?
I think, I hope so. We said, we should have. We said, why is it referred to speech? You didn't know? Oh man, well that's going to be there also. Yeah. How did we not ask that? How is the Tzaddik's tongue like choice silver?
Oh.
I'll just add that to number 2, okay? How is the Tzaddik's?
Why specifically high quality silver?
Yeah, but we didn't ask about like what's special about the Tzaddik's speech, right?
Oh.
Yeah, what is special about the Tzaddik's speech? Avital, let me answer your question really quickly. We said that it is a common thing in Mishlei to have one, like the Chacham to be singular and like the fool to be plural, or the Tzadik to be singular and the Rishaim to be plural. There's different reasons for that, and one of the reasons is that if you take any area where something could be perfected, there's always lots of ways it could be non-perfected, and perfection is going to be always like a smaller quantity than a smaller quantity, but also more specificity than the like common denominator. That's one explanation. I've heard different explanations, but it's like a stylistic thing that's universal. It's not pasuk specific usually.
And then
So
how would we ever know?
How what?
How would we ever know if like that was an actual
Can I ask
like?
you a question? Sorry.
Well, before whoever said that just say, I was what were you saying? How can we ever know what?
Like, how would we know if, let's say, Shlomo was meaning purposefully like to put in like Rishaim? Because like I just had like an idea in my head, and I was thinking about like, yeah.
Well, you can say an idea. I'm just saying that we know that it is a stylistic convention because it's like in tons of psukim, and so like the assumption is that it's not unique to the psukim. But if you want to make an explanation that highlights that nuance, then you can go ahead and do that.
All right.
Shipper, was that you asking something or someone else? No.
I thought I guess I can share it later, but that would like have a one meaning to the singular versus.
Oh, sure, why not? Go ahead, you can say it.
Okay, well, it's kind of getting up. I was thinking that we're talking about getting a kesef. It's like getting a benefit from someone, like an something that you're looking to acquire. So you can acquire much more than from one Tzadik than many rashaim.
Okay, that's possible. I guess we'll have to wait and see how that plays out in the idea. Yeah, Aria?
Can I give an answer?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna start with define.
Oh, sorry, approach. No, we haven't had our thinking time yet. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, let's take our any other questions like to add to the thing before we start our thinking?
Yeah, wait, I'm back now.
Yeah, you're back. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I think it might be part of question 9, but in a more like directive way. I don't understand why the pasuk is not speaking like proactively. Like there's not like advice in the pasuk. It's very passive. It's just like a statement.
Yeah. So there's a cool thing that no one's ever asked that question before. I'm sure we've had something like that where it doesn't say anything directly. There is okay, I wrote an article on this based on something that Rabbi Moskowitz used to say, and he would always say this in high school, and it would always alarm everyone because they would mishear him. He would say, "Don't should on me." Okay, and it was Rabbi Moskowitz's way of saying how like Rabbi Moskowitz's whole approach to like decision making was you avoid shoulds, like saying you should do this or you should do that. And I have an article on why Mishlei does that and why Mishlei. It's not like Mishlei always does that, but many times Mishlei will avoid telling you directly what to do or what not to do. And rather than go into that now, because that's like a whole topic, I'll send out the article or whatever. I'll try to remember to send out the article. But it's a good observation, Shipra. So I just don't want to go into it right now. Okay, let's take our minute of thinking time. Yeah. Okay, so as we usually do, we'll take half approaches first, and you had one you wanted to say, right?
Yeah. I think it's not holistic. It's I'm gonna start with trying to explain what high quality silver means.
Okay, can you guys hear him, by the way? Yeah. Okay. Good.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So I think normally when we think of high quality silver, we think of like a utensil, of
Okay.
like things you use, something that's like kosher, like you use high quality silver on like Shabbos or
Yeah.
Chagim or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, I do not have a definition for Tzadik or rasha, but maybe you could say that if it's Tzadik, you want to use his tongue, because it's high quality silver in terms of like his chachma and like what he has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take advantage of that and use it as much as you can.
Okay.
Now, in terms of the the way you structured the pasuk with the big heart and pasuk, I think.
Yeah.
So I think the small heart just means like the rasha may or may not have high quality silver, but small heart just means he's not willing to share what he has to offer. He's not willing to give it out.
Mm-hmm.
But a tzaddik, he has a big heart and is willing to let you use his tongue as a vehicle for your own compassion.
Okay, so I have questions on it, but let me just support what you were saying for the first part. So Ariel was saying that it's high quality silver because you use it for like nice stuff. I have a different explanation of why it uses silver and not gold that I think serves the same purpose, but you tell me. Does anyone have any thoughts on that question about why it uses silver instead of gold? Yeah.
I was thinking that it could have to do with the level of sophistication of words.
Mm.
So like gold might be associated with like perfected wisdom. And so it's saying like the implication is that it's not a tongue doesn't need to be completed wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
but it is selected words.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like maybe a range of like how thoughtful words are.
Mm-hmm.
So like these are silver words, so like they're words that might be ideas and they're thought and like planned.
Yeah.
But they don't have to be gold in order to be found on.
Okay. So that idea is saying that it is not going with the top quality, and then that's kind of like part of the chiddush, that like his silver is like good enough to like do whatever the thing he's going to do. I like that. I didn't think of that one.
Also, there's a old saying, and I'm an old person, so I know about this saying, that you're born with a silver tongue in his mouth.
Isn't that a silver spoon?
So a silver spoon. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oops. Maybe I'm going in a very good direction, but anyway, silver spoon in his mouth. So his words have value. So I don't know what that has to do in terms of gold or silver, and isn't silver harder than gold? Gold can be soft too. So.
I think silver is right. Gold is very malleable.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So yeah.
So I was gonna say was I think
just for this question you're saying the silver versus gold. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think silver is more utilitarian.
Yes.
Because gold is because it's soft. You can't really use it for things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you can have like an alloy, but like 14-karat gold is like mixed with other things.
Yeah.
That it's less soft.
Yeah.
But I think silver is something that you can use. It's like precious metal that you can use for things.
Yeah. So I was thinking exactly the same thing. Right. Is that structurally it's used for things like in terms of like building stuff because it's sturdier, but then also silver is used as actual currency for money, whereas gold might be like you might have a gold standard that's the basis of your currency, but you don't just like use gold. And I'm not a coinologist, but I assume that because what's the biblical Hebrew word for money? Kesef, right? I mean, like, it's like, yeah, gold has value, but I don't think that's the main thing that's used. But I think utility, saying that it's talking about the utility of the Tzaddik's tongue, then that's why it uses silver. I like that idea also, but I think that for your idea, though, then that works for that.
It's like valuable, but valuable utility. Right?
Valuable utility, right? So in other words, if you're just going for straight up value, you use gold, but if you're going for valuable utility, then you use silver. Now, the area that I think we need to elaborate on is I didn't quite get the second half of the pasuk and where I do feel like that first question we had, I know a question we didn't. Did we ask the question of why is it? Oh yeah, we asked the question about heart versus tongue. Yeah, right. So I feel like it doesn't really address the question of why tongue to heart and like choice silver to nothing. Like I feel like
before I get to that, can you say how you formulated the question, with the Tzadik having a big heart? Like,
yeah, that the Tzadik's tongue is like high quality silver and he has a big heart. Okay, and I could introduce a little bit more complexity, but it's also more options if you want.
Let's just keep it simple.
Okay. Okay. Like when I prepared this, I had 4 possible translations.
Well,
but I think they help.
I'm not seeing the screen, so it's
I know it's hard. And then the heart and mind of the wicked is small, and the wicked's tongue is the opposite of high quality silver.
Okay.
Which what we're saying is it's worthless, which is probably where Alter got his word worthless from. But again, not translation. Yeah.
So I'm kind of using that structure to explain. I don't want to say that the tongue and the heart are influence of each other.
Okay.
I'm saying that they are complementary of each other.
Okay.
Meaning, if you have something that you can, use as a utility, and you want to be able to share it with people, right? If you have all this silverware and you have people asking for it, you want to be able to give it. And I'm defining a big heart as someone who's caring and wants to get it out.
Okay. So
and I'm saying that the audience is for people to recognize that that's what a Tzadik is for, to use his knowledge and experience. But actually, I'm going to leave that aside for now. I'm not really sure what the audience is. But the point is, you should take advantage of it, and the Tzadik should be able to be willing to give it up.
Okay. So adding 2 more points here, or you're adding it or I'm just getting it now, is that the small heart and big heart have to do with, I think you actually did say this before, small heart and big heart, what's Ariel saying that means? Generous. Yeah, right. Generous, being willing to give or to help or whatever, or to let people use, and then small heart is not. I'm going to make an executive decision, and I am going to reveal the other 2 translations the way I had it.
Yeah. Door number 3.
Yeah, the other way you can. So these are all following the paradigm from the other translation. But so our symmetrical translation is the tongue of a Tzadik is like high quality silver, and his heart/mind is big. But you could also do a causal translation. The tongue of a Tzadik is like high quality silver, and therefore his heart is big. The heart and mind of wicked is small, and therefore his tongue is like not worth anything. And you could also do an effect-based translation. The tongue of the Tzadik is like high quality silver because his heart is big. And the heart and mind of a wicked is small because his tongue is of a low quality.
Can I say something?
Yeah, I also have something to say. You can go for it.
Okay, all right. Hold on just a second. Just as a favor to the people who need to see stuff, meaning Ariel. No, I think it helps everyone to see it. I just want to pull up my notes from when I prepared this, and then see if, and then maybe, hold on.
Where's the visual learning?
Yeah, it's fine. Look, there's different kind of learners.
See, because I don't visualize things, I don't need them.
I'm using your utility.
All right.
Just over our tongue.
Okay, I'm just going to paste this, Ariel, into your thing, into your WhatsApp, and then you can just like send it to whoever you want. I'm not going to handle it this time.
I guess I'll just send it to people's numbers.
Yeah, hold on just a second here. Ariel Rahmanov. There you go. You're being generous with your with my speech. Okay, yeah. All right, so Mayan and Rick, you want to say something, right?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say.
I said that in order, but go ahead, Ricky.
Mayan, you. Oh, gosh.
It was Saw. I mean,
yeah, I was like, Mayan. I didn't even see Mayan. Okay. Meaning I saw you, Mayan. I just didn't.
Okay, go ahead, Rick. You clearly have the mic right now, so go ahead.
Okay. So this was on what Ariel was saying, and it's possible I just didn't understand something, so I guess you'll let me know. But don't you think it makes more sense to say like that? Not that the silver is like a utensil, but more that like silver as just like, I was thinking like liquid silver, and I'm not a blacksmith, so like I don't know exactly how this stuff works, but I feel like I'm thinking along the lines of like that you have to like purify it and like make it super hot. So I feel like
okay, good.
go with that than what Ariel was
Okay,
saying.
so there are a lot of Mefarshim who say that kesef nivkar, it means that it is refined silver, which I think is going to be the most valuable silver, but the emphasis is on refined. And then when I mentioned to you that some say that the kaf in kimaat is not a kaf of comparison. So the Rib Ibn Kaspi, actually it's on your source sheet. If you look on the back, it's on my computer too. The Ibn Kaspi is 3 from the bottom. Look at just the second Dibra Maso, Kimaat. In Kaf L'Dimayon. The kaf is not a kaf of comparison, about karo, but it's a kaf of approximation. Kamo Kishloshos Alafim Ish, approximately 3,000 men. And he says, Ola La'amita Sadavar, or like to emphasize the reality of things, Alpaim Ama, meaning like exact. Okay, but here's the main point. Vatam Ma'at Yishbo, Vatam, the meaning is Ma'at Yishbo Miketef Ikulo Sigim. It almost has no silver. It's all dross. It's all like impurities. Okay, so that Rifki is your blacksmith interpretation there, saying that the kesef nivkar is like all of the impurities have been taken out and it's pure silver. That's like the tongue of the Tzadik. And then the rasha, he's putting the silver into the heart, which is interesting, right? I didn't mean that in a werewolfy type way, but that the heart is almost all dross. It's almost all impurities.
Rabbi, I was literally going to use that term because we did that in Gemara once.
Oh, dross.
Yeah, dross.
Oh, dross. Yeah, we did. I thought we did it in Mishlei.
We have.
No, but we.
No, I meant like
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting. Nice. All right. So, hold on. So, Mayan, you had another point, right? And then Sarah also.
I think Saw had one before me, but
okay, fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can I just say something quickly that I was thinking it's kind of different than what we've been saying, but I was just looking at like the tongue and the heart as like, I was thinking, what do those two things like have in common if you had to pick something? And I think that both of them can be used as like a tool to get to somewhere, where I think a tongue is a more specific thing like speech, but I think like a heart and a mind drives everything else that you do. And it could like become the tongue. So I was thinking that in terms of a tzaddik, the tongue is just one asset that he has, and that is equated with a specific like result. Like his tongue, like when he uses his tongue for good, it's equated with an actual result, which is a valuable thing like silver. But then let's say you have the heart and the mind of the wicked is kind of like everything they have, like the heart and the mind drives everything they do, and that's just kimat, which isn't even a legitimate thing. It's just like a little, you know what I mean? So it's like showing the differences.
Yeah. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you are going with this this translation of the cause and effect. One, the effects of the heart on speech. The tongue of the tzaddik is like high quality silver because his heart is big, meaning the big heart results in the tzaddik using his speech in a certain way. Then the heart of the wicked is like a little, and therefore his tongue is worthless.
I guess it would be.
I think that jives best with your interpretation. Now the question is that also jive with Ariel's, or is that a different one?
I actually have a question on that.
Okay.
The tongue of its side is like high quality silver
because his heart is big. Yeah.
I don't.
So I thought that's implied in what you were saying also.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I'm defining high quality silver as an individual who has knowledge and information and a stock law that he can give over.
So then mind, you're using heart as mind then. Would that work?
I'm using that as a silver tongue.
Oh, you're putting the mind, the knowledge, and the speech in one, in just the silver tongue thing, and then in the generosity you're saying is the heart.
Yeah.
That's
what
I'm
doing. So that's I don't.
Okay, so it might not be the same thing, but it might not be the same as what Sarah's saying, but yeah. So. Okay, here. And then hold on, I don't want to forget Mayan. So let's go Mayan and then Isaac. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is like a little bit of a different approach. Are we like ready for that, or is there? Is that okay?
Not right yet. Yeah, I think we're developing these approaches because we haven't brought this to the main idea yet. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure. So I've been refining what I was thinking before.
Is that silver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm not sure whether it's too much of a step or not a step.
Okay.
Or not that much of a step.
A step. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was thinking about what nivkar and kimat mean.
Yeah.
So I think the tzaddik is doing some sort of selection. That's what other thing is.
Oh, that was your going off of
either selection or refinement of what he says.
Yeah.
And that has to do with his. I'm thinking that has to do with his way of being big in some way.
Yeah.
And the rasha may or may not have a big wave, but because he doesn't refine it, it's not big. It seems as though it's not big.
Interesting.
I was thinking about that same thing.
Yeah.
It's like a different route. I was thinking like the nifar, they're both things that are small, like Miller and nifar, but one is like choice.
Ooh, that's
like,
interesting also.
A positive small,
Yeah.
and just like a negative small.
I never had that observation. Yeah. That's a good one for opposites there.
Yeah.
That's really good. So I don't know if you guys heard that. You guys hear that?
No. Okay.
So that Leah's saying that I'm just glossing over what I was saying. Yeah, but what Leah was saying is that that Kima'at is small, but Nivchar is also small, meaning the best stuff is like there's very little of it, or it's like the small percentage of it is like the tippy top quality, and then that is a different kind of opposite than the Kima'at, which is like nothing. It's like the two ends of the bell curve in a way. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like that does something, but I don't know what it does.
I think that fits with what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah. So now go ahead. Yeah, well, she did too. She thought that fit also. Yeah.
Because the Tzadik is refining his speech, and so it comes out as like choice silver, whereas the rasha is, let's say, like talking a lot, and somewhat like there's a small amount of what he says is like, let's say, good silver, but because he's saying so much, it's like oh, what he was saying had little worth.
Like a big part produced something little, but the little produced something big.
Yes. You're looking at the opposites here, right? Meaning that the rushes, when we say the rushes, big heart, it's not really as big as it's just his heart, right? That his heart is just like producing stuff, and because he doesn't do quality control, then there's a lot of bad quality that comes out. And yeah, you can occasionally like I think I first heard this from my dad, like even a blind squirrel occasionally finds an acorn. Like
a soft clock is right.
Yeah, right. I just like the imagery of the squirrel better, but imagery. So, but then the tzaddik is only going to verbalize what he's refined, and therefore you don't get very much, but you get a high quality of it. I don't remember. It's been so long since we did the other pasuk in chapter 10. I feel like that sounds like along the lines of what we've been talking about lately. Not that that's like a proof of it or anything like that.
I want to say that it's a little bit, but I think it's along the line of what was just said. A little bit bothering me that we're interpreting it to mean that that you can actually get something from the wicked, something positive. Right? That's kind of what we're saying. Because normally, you're lucky if you don't get anything negative from the wicked.
Yeah, I mean, so, there's no need to make the wicked into a pure evil person. I mean, everyone has good qualities and bad qualities, and the way, there's plenty of examples in Tanakh where wicked people did one good thing and like they get zechut for that, they get merit for that. So I'm not so bothered by that point. Yeah.
I actually okay. So I just quickly said I actually looked at Rashi, and it's what I'm saying. I think it kind of takes into account what I'm saying, but I'll mention it later because it's okay. I don't want to.
Thank you. And by the way, also, Mayan, I realize we are going into different ideas right now. I guess this is one of these times when we're just like throwing everything on the table and then going to try to come up with something. So I do want to hear what you say after Isaac elaborates.
I was going to say about the wicked, wicked person can have like knowledge of something where he has real knowledge. Like a wicked person can have knowledge of business and really understand how business works. Yeah. And can convey good information about that. Yeah. Even if he is Russian.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good point.
Also, it's like you're saying, you can learn something from everyone. Yeah. And so it's like maybe from his perspective, he doesn't think that it's a little. He might think it's a lot, but it's talking to the audience.
Right. Right. Yeah. I hear. Okay, Mayan, what were you gonna say? And don't let Rifki interrupt you by unmuting right now.
Idea. Can I ask a question first about like what we just said about the about like sometimes like a rasha could have like bad qualities or good qualities too, like not to discount that necessarily. Yeah. I hear that like throughout Tanakh and everything, aside from like Mishlei, just because I thought that Mishlei's point kind of was to bring out the absolutes and like the ideal like types for us to learn ideas from that.
Right. It is true that Mishlei style is to use archetypes, but if the idea that it's trying to convey about the rasha has to do with the fact that he still offers a little bit, then it would need to mention it. You know. Yeah. And I don't know what that idea is, but that's what it would need to be. You know. Yeah.
I also say that I think person having no idea the value is like, I think that's like unrealistic.
Yeah, it's especially unrealistic for a rasha because rashaim are chachamim usually. Yeah. You can't just get to be a rasha by accident or by like relying on your personality. Like you have to use your mind. Yeah. To be a rasha, you know. They're not mishlei chachamim, but I'm saying like they have knowledge and they and planning. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know how like true this is. I'm really not great at economics, but I feel like silver as a currency is less changeable, like less inflation deflation situation going on there, and I feel like that could mean like that could be like the Tzadikim's words can apply to a lot of different like situations and can be can like be more universal almost. Yeah. And like whatever, as opposed to the rasha who's a lot more limited. And I like that's where I was like seeing the opposite of like the lave meaning the mind and kimat going with the translation of limited.
Okay, so I don't think you need to know economics in order to say what you're saying, because I think the idea we're saying of kesef being like what you use for money, the idea of money is that it is usable as opposed to, let's say, like the barter system, you know? So like I think that idea fits in with just our normal way of using money. Yeah. So with the second idea of the rasha's mind being limited. Okay, so I feel like there's too much stuff on the table right now. And there's something a little confusing, by the way. I don't know if it's just in person and on the Zoom, but I feel like I don't have all the threads this time. Like I'm not keeping track of stuff. So the question is, where are we at right now? What are we going to do?
I have another.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But I can wait.
No, I don't know what we're waiting for. That's the thing is, I feel like it's scattered right now.
Can we try to like gather the threads?
All right, let's try to gather the threads. Yeah. Yes, I feel like that needs to be explained. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah, can you say your explanation again? I don't know if you're still there because the screen's black. That also jumped out at me as being good, and then we didn't really discuss it. Now the screen's black, so.
Can I add something?
Yes, yeah, I'll go ahead.
So I was thinking that high quality silver is, it's filtered a lot, right? That's how you get to high quality silver.
Right.
And when you kind of speak from the heart, it's kind of like, I feel this, so I'm going to just say it. So I was thinking that the Tzadik kind of refines what he's thinking and what he's saying, and the wicked is kind of just like, this is what I feel.
Okay, so that fits in really well with your approach, right? Yeah. So let me just try articulating this, and then maybe use this to tie together. If we get one approach, then that'd be good.
I feel like we're like kind of full.
Yeah. So this, what I like about the way Yael said it is this explains the heart-speech connection, right? That the refining takes place, the crucible is in the heart, right? I don't know. How you refine it? I know. Yeah. Well, at some point, then you get the dross out, right? It sounded good.
It's a good word.
Yeah. So you refine it in the heart, right? But I think the thing that Yael is adding is that are you adding that he doesn't need to think before he speaks? Because
no, I just think that he doesn't.
That he does not.
He doesn't think before he speaks.
Yeah. He does not think before he speaks, but because he generally is involved in refining everything, then even when he speaks unthinkingly, it'll go like straight from the heart to being useful, you know? Yeah, and I think that works actually for both interpretations of heart, meaning both in terms of feelings and in terms of mind, because in terms of your feelings, you know, most people, when they just let out their feelings, the feelings are egotistical, aggressive, like whatever, you know, and, socially detrimental, but the Tzadik has cultivated like empathy and like, and generosity and like humility. So generally speaking, when the Tzadik speaks what he's feeling, it is not going to have the impurities of bad things that end up like, causing damage or whatever. And it can be valuable to hear what his feelings are. And similarly with his mind is he thinks through stuff a lot. And therefore when he speaks off the cuff, then like it's a valuable thing. So does that basically convey what you were saying, Yael? For the first half?
Yep.
Yeah. So now Isaac, you want to add or modify that, or is that like in line?
That's in line.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so then the second half is the rasha does not have this heart crucible purifying machine, right? And and therefore this is resulting in what you were saying, which is that like, or what the Ibn Kaffi was saying, Kaffi. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's why he's invested in this. Yeah. So he is he was saying that whatever the rasha produces is just very low quality stuff with a lot of dross. Yeah.
Wait, Rabbi Shneimais?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry, I just had to get something. Rifki told me you asked me a question, but I wasn't.
Yeah, is this on this approach that we're saying right now, or is this gonna be a new one? Because I feel like I really want to reel this one.
Yeah, I just don't want to.
Okay, yeah,
it's on something you said like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I just am confused. Why are we assuming that this is about the Tzadik's heart as well? Because it only says tongue in the pasuk.
Yeah, so that was, maybe you missed that earlier. That was not early on. That was when I you see the translations I added?
Yeah, I just want to know why you added it.
Yeah, because that's a typical thing with Mishlei of when it says A is B and C is D, sometimes what it means is like, I can never do this.
A and C
are
B and D.
Yeah. It's saying both are both. And you just have to plug it in. And the only reason it doesn't spell it out is because it's a proverb, so it's being concise. And this is a very common thing. And Meiri says this a lot, like, and it's just a very common way to read Mishlei Pesukim. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So do we have an idea now? Do we have at least one idea? So let's just bring it home and try to say, and I do want to clarify who's the intended audience and what's the practical application. So the idea, right, is that if you work on refining, did we come up with this idea before? See, this is yeah. So all right, this is a problem then. But let's not worry about it. Let's just try to say it. Okay, is that if you refine your, we did say this recently. See, this is a problem because it's been practically a month since we've done Monday Night Mishlei. Okay, fine. Yeah. I was just thinking. Yeah. But it's the opposite, right? Availability heuristic. Yeah. All right. Anyway, focus. The Tzadik who goes through this process of refining will be able to speak from the heart, whether heart means mind or mind. Sorry, whether it means mind or feelings, and it'll be refined. And the rasha will not produce anything of value because his heart does not refine stuff.
Why are they saying that the heart, that it's the, I mean, I heard what you just said about the Tzadik's heart, like why we're saying that it's his heart, but it says his tongue, so what are we doing with that?
Because it's saying that the tongue is what actually produces the bad speech, or that's where it emerges from. Oh, sorry, another time. Sorry. Wait, after you ask again, maybe I processed the question wrong.
So we're saying that it's the Tzadik's heart, which is turning into all good.
Which is producing speech that's all good.
Which is doing the tongue, which is all good.
Yeah.
Which is making a tongue, which is all good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the rasha's minute heart is what results in him not producing valuable.
And minute means.
Sorry, this is not minute. We're doing the Ibn Kaffi thing, which means practically no silver.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's almost like he's reading it like this. He's saying Kesef Nivkar Lashon Tzadik because of his heart, and then Lev Rashayim produces a tongue that is Kesef Kimaat, or like Kimaat Kesef, like very little silver. Yeah, Isaac?
I have a possible way to make it not exactly the same thing as other.
Okay, good. Please.
So I think the way I'm reading the pasuk is that the rasha is not producing less silver. Like he's expressing this. He's conveying the same amount of let's say like good ideas that the Tzadik is. But since he's not refining it, it's like it's small because it's like puzzle. Like it gets like lost amongst the amongst like all the rocks.
Yeah, I mean, like a good analogy of this is like in many precious metal mines, you've got tons and tons of rock, and like there's a lot of precious metal in there, but it's just all trace amounts that are like scattered throughout all these rocks. Like
yeah. And so it's not that he doesn't like. I think the thing is that the person thinks if they're expressing their ideas, and they have good ideas, and they're saying enough that they are making sure that they express all of all the points that are their good ideas, then you think that's you've put out all that silver, people can just collect the silver. But because he's mixing in so much dross, then it's like almost nothing.
I hear it. I gotta express what's bothering me. What's really bothering me about this whole thing is that this really sounds much more like Chachamim and fools than Tzadikim and Rashaim.
Yeah,
I know that was.
I've just come up with a way to fix that, but I didn't finish polishing.
Oh, okay. You want more time?
Refining.
Okay, yeah.
While he's thinking about it, can I throw in another issue?
Why not? Go ahead. Yeah.
It's a new approach trying to explain why not gold.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's really new issue. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe it'll help us.
And I'm running the same issue with the rasha.
Oh, okay.
It seems like it's a compliment still.
Yeah.
As well. But maybe you could say that the reason why it uses high quality silver is because it's not the best. Meaning even the chacham, even the tzaddik, you know, he will never be able to have like I'm using high quality silver as his own ideas or his own things that he wants to convey.
Yeah.
It may not necessarily be perfect or 100% because he needs to be able to share it with other people, and that's the big part. And in order for him to get better at it, to almost be like gold or a high quality material, is for him to have a dialogue with someone else and perfect that system.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I feel like it's too complicated. I feel like it introduces the complication. Too much of a complication to this. Yeah.
Also, like exactly what we said last time about the same.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah.
I've thought about Tzadik.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think the reason it's emphasizing Tzadik is that Tzadik is thinking about the effects on others in a certain sort of way. Like,
yes. Okay. Good.
Because he's concerned about the system as a whole.
Yeah.
He's not. He is taking care to refine it, not just so that people can get the ideas, but also to make it. He's not just refining it so that it's all silver. He's making it choice silver, so that it's like very let's say clean and polished, so that it can be like they say it can be easily understood.
Yeah.
Whereas like a chacham, you know, he'll explain his ideas, but he's not gonna do the same, like refining the same sort of extent.
Yeah. Okay. This is along the lines of, I'm remembering now. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I got to look at my notes because this is a month ago, and I just want to see what I said sounds something like that. I didn't want to like prejudice myself with it. And let's see what I said, and maybe we'll get an approach there, and then we'll hear what Zach has to say, which will definitely be an approach. Let's see. So what I wrote. All right, this might make no sense. Just tell me if this makes sense. This is my notes, okay? Because the tzaddik uses his speech in service of the system, the activity of speaking will increase his levels of compassion, i.e. his heart. So I guess I'm learning it that as a result of, that the tongue of the tzaddik is like high quality silver. Oh, this is a good idea. And therefore, and that's gonna make his heart big. But the heart of the rasha is like a little, because his tongue is worthless. All right, let me read the idea again. Because the tzaddik uses his speech in service of the system, the activity of speaking will increase his levels of compassion, i.e. his heart. This in turn will make him better at speaking to people, which will grow his heart even more, et cetera, et cetera. So in other words, there's like a virtuous cycle. Like tzaddik is trying, our definition of tzaddik is someone who cares about the individual members of the system and tries to help each part of the system focus. So in order to do that, he's going to need to talk to each and every person and use his speech to get done whatever needs to get done to meet their needs and to understand them and stuff. That process of getting to know the individual people is going to make him more empathetic and more aware, and people's needs are going to be on his radar. And that grows his compassion, and then that's going to make him better equipped to like use his speech to like talk to people. So there's this constant like flow between his heart growing bigger and his speech growing more valuable, you know, from his orientation towards the system. Okay. In contrast, the worthlessness of the rasha's speech, because he only uses it for himself, will not grow his compassion and may actually diminish it. This will be bad for him because it will hasten the collapse of his system that he's trying to impose. Because our definition of a rasha, working definition, is the rasha is trying to impose his own artificial system to achieve greatness and power for himself. So in his own interest, he wants his system to survive, but it's going to end up causing the collapse. And I added, if the rasha truly wanted greatness, he would build up the system using his position of power rather than tearing it down. So in other words, like a good example of this is the tyrannical boss who never like asks the employees like how they're doing, never like bothers to check on stuff that he feels is beneath him, you know? So he's not like dialoguing with people and making his speech useful for their needs. And that's to his detriment because the system's not going to work and then the thing's going to fall down. The Tzadik is going to be concerned with everybody and helping them get what they need and advising them and like, you know, and whatever. And that's going to like end up like being good for him in a way that he values also, because it's going to end up like growing his compassion. So that's a completely different idea. What was that?
It's going to be good for him.
It's going to be good for him. It's going to be good for both. The chiddush is not that it's good for the system. The chiddush is that it's also going to be good for him. That's going to make him, what does the tzaddik want most in the world? To be able to help the system, you know? So he wants a big heart, you know? So doing this is going to grow his heart, and that's going to make it even better. And everyone in the system is going to benefit, you know? So this is like a long, I don't know, I lost track of your idea now, but it's along the lines where we're saying specifically a tzaddik who cares about the system, and specifically a rasha who is like.
Yeah, I think we were saying it's a different idea.
Okay,
yeah.
But it's along the lines in the sense that it's tzaddik specific, so like the type of speech that he's.
Yeah, because I think I'm thinking it slightly differently.
Yeah, go ahead and say what you were saying again.
I think the tzaddik is focused because of his broad perspective in terms of like focusing on the system. He is going to put more effort into refining what he's saying for the sake of the listener.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's also true.
Yeah.
And that fits better with the refining shot that we did. I was going more with the utility shot. Yeah. Leah, what were you asking?
With your explanation, how do you explain the kesef?
I'm saying the kesef is utility. That the speech uses.
Oh,
because silver is what is used for utility, either because it's the stronger material or because you use it for money.
Okay.
Yeah. You have an idea now?
Yeah, it's a thought from before.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
A little flushed out, but I also am realizing, I feel like I just took a lot of different points from that we're floating around, and so I don't know if there's anything actually new, but it's just constructed in a way that like clicks now in my head.
That's why it's fungible to use a. Is not the right way to use the term. Which is fungible or non-fungible. Fungible means like.
I think you can use it.
Or whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so actually, one of the starting points for me was wicked, and like I suppose the fool. You know, like what is wicked? So I'll just go through the pasuk from stuff. So it's like high quality silver is Tzaddik's tongue is again talking about the idea that he has refined speech.
Yeah.
And basically, the audience he's talking to are neither tzaddikim or wicked people. It's just people, the regular person, kind of talking to us as to the kind of speeches we'll encounter, and kind of giving us also a bit of a metric as to how to differentiate and like where there might be a potential pitfall. Okay. So he's saying that a tzaddik speaks less because it's refined. He says. But a potential pitfall is you might meet wicked people who speak a little bit too. The difference is that the difference is that the tzaddik wants to speak a lot. He wants to share all his ideas, but he refines it so he has something less.
Yeah.
A wicked person wants to share as little as possible. He wants to keep all of his ideas for himself. So his heart is what's small, like the difference is in his heart, and it's like small, meaning the speech mimics the smallness of a righteous person, but it's a fake smallness.
Right, it's small because he doesn't want to share the speech. Okay, that's good. Someone I came across in the Mefarshim said that, or at least that last part. I just want to see if how it. Hold on. You can restate what I'm looking for if you want. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just saying that essentially in life you can meet people that can look similar in terms of how they're speaking, and one could be a Tzadik who's refining his speech, and the other could be a rasha who just doesn't want to share the value he has to offer and wants to keep as much for himself and not see other people succeed. Right. And so a way you can differentiate between the two is by looking or trying to assess the heart, where the heart is of the person who you're talking to. And that's how you can tell whether their shortness of speech is because they're Tzadik or because they're rasha. And if it's because they're rasha, then it's obviously not true refined speech. It's like mimic.
How do you determine if it's rasha or something?
Meaning you have to try to determine his heart. I don't know that he's saying that it's like, someone, you like, I don't know that he's saying that there's like
the Hitler mustache is a good indication.
Yeah, like you take out garlic and maybe shies away. Like, there's not like, but he is saying that he's drawing your attention to a motivation, and he's saying like that is a way, that's something to keep your eye on that will indicate which category.
Yeah, meaning just to first of all, just to show you the person who said that last part, and then I just want to comment on what you're saying. This is raw bog. If you want to look on the back, the fourth one down. So first, I don't think it's exactly the same, but kesef nifkar, we'll see. Behold, the tongue of the Tzadik, it's like silver that has no impurities. And for this reason, it's very stable and it is resistant to deterioration. I guess this is another thing also, that your silver has a lot of impurities. It's going to like rust or whatever, or whatever happens to metals that are impurities. I don't know. However, the soul of the wicked and their hearts, lo yashir ki'im, there will only remain of it a little bit. Lo zachar lashon harashayim. It doesn't mention the tongue of the rashayim. Because they don't reveal what they're thinking, as we said before. Yeah, fine. So I guess it's just that last part. The first part doesn't sound the same. But what you're saying matches, I think, with what Leah was saying, right? About both of them are minute, but for different reasons. And but you're saying it's addressed to the average individual, where it might. Okay, I'll give you an example of this, and this is like a crazy example. Cult. Okay. So you have people who are like cult leaders who are Rashayim, like they're just in it for their money or their power or whatever. And they'll look like they're saying profound things by just like speaking like these like, grand, whether it's like prophecies or like advice or guru, and the unwary cult member might be seduced by that, but if you look at this guy, well, why is this guy thinks it's necessary to marry 20 women, or why is he making me like give him my bank account number, that's an indication of like, maybe it's not just that his speech is really refined, he's like on a really high level,
Right. Maybe like a more practical, like day-to-day example that comes to mind is like, you can meet a lot of successful people in the world.
Yeah.
And they can both like try to like say little bits about success.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can draw different conclusions about that. And some people say a little bit because they want to like isolate like something, like a takeaway you can take for your life to like help you.
Yeah.
And others are like, well, my success is my own. You should work for yourself to like get what I have. And like, you can see that like they just don't want to share what they have.
Yeah, so I got to give an example of this, and I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to badmouth the person. But let me start it. So a good friend of mine who's a mental health worker recommended a book about a certain psychological topic. Okay, and this is the same person who recommended Atomic Habits. Okay, so like high recommendations, So I was like, okay, I'll buy this book. So I bought this book. Over Shabbos, I read 70 pages of it. Okay. And out of all the 70 pages, and it's a practical psychology book, it's about like a specific thing. So the whole thing is the guy saying how simple his method is and trying to convince you that it is not a hoax, and I'm like, if it's really so simple, like it should be like, you should have like a pamphlet, and why do you keep on telling me and he's giving you all these like reasons, like you might think that I'm trying to trick you this way, you might think I'm trying to trick you that way, But like it reminds me of that kind of thing that you just said there,
It sounds like very unrefined silver.
Yeah, I know. Like at least like learn the other Mishlei pasukim so you can learn how to manipulate people, Yeah. Okay, so I think we should probably wrap it up for now and then like declare the after party. But can we get what we have? How many did we end up with?
I think,
3? Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think there was the one that we're talking about refining this.
Right. So the refining the speech one, and that's the that's when we had the problem with the Tzadik and rasha. But the idea itself was good.
Yeah, well, I'm saying this is I would turn into that.
Okay, yeah. So let me start off, and then you answer it again, so the idea is that the Tzadik has refined his lave, whether it's the heart or the mind, and therefore he could speak without thinking, and it would be high quality. Whereas the rasha had not done that.
I was saying he refines it.
Okay, so then
I was saying he refines his speech.
He refines his speech.
Yeah.
Or why don't you say the idea then?
Oh yeah. So the Tzadik refines his speech, and so and so what he produces is high quality silver, and
you're saying high quality meaning like without impurities.
Yeah. And the reason it's Tzadik is because the Tzadik is the person who.
Oh, he goes further than the Chacham.
Yeah, he goes further than the Chacham.
Right.
And whereas a rasha might have like ideas of silver, but since he hasn't put in the effort to refine them, they're mixed with like tons of dross.
Yeah. So I'm still not quite happy with the rasha part, but
or he can, since he hasn't refined them, it's like not much silver.
Yeah.
Either way.
Okay, fine. So that was one approach. Then there's my approach, right, which is that the Tzadik is someone whose concern is for the system, and he uses his speech to help all the members of the system. And I didn't explicitly state this, but speech is the tool that he's going to use the most for that, because he doesn't know how to do everyone's, like he's not going to be like doing jobs for people. He's going to be talking with them and advising them and helping them. And that will have the effect of making his heart bigger, which means compassion, which is then going to help him relate even more. And it's going to just keep on getting better for the system and for himself, which is what he wants. He wants to do the best for the system. The rasha, who only uses his speech for his own power and also doesn't help the people in the system because he doesn't want to like he feels like he's going to like lose or like it's giving way to the competition. So his part definitely is not going to get big. He's going to be very narrow-minded and not empathetic and not focused on things that don't directly correlate to his power. And as a result of that, it's going to endanger the stability of the system. So it's not even in his best interest to like withhold his speech in this way. It's really in his best interest to like care for the system, but he's not going to be able to bring himself to do that because he doesn't want to give up any iota of his power. And then there's Zach's idea.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. I was just gonna ask, is that Zach's idea? But then you started talking, so.
Okay, yeah. No, I was gonna say Zach's idea. That was the words I said.
No, I'm saying like, was Zach's idea? So it was different than the last part that you just said about
I was just saying my idea.
Okay, I think you should just say Zach's because I think I'm just confused about if they were the same.
Okay.
And there was a similarity more I recognized this time as well.
Okay, so why don't you say your idea then, and then we can see if
So my idea was just that. Again, when I say mine, I think it's really a collective idea.
Yeah.
But basically, the Tzadik both the Tzadik and the rasha have small speech, and that as an observer we can learn from the differences based off of their motivation. Where the Tzadik wants to share, he just tries to refine it. His speech till it's small. Or a rasha wants to withhold valuable information from people, and therefore it's small.
Right, good. And I wanted to pilfer one aspect of Zach's idea. Is I also think that this is not aimed at the Tzadik or the rasha. This is aimed at the person who is on their way to becoming one or the other. And like an example of this is, have you seen the show like Undercover Boss?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like a CEO or something like be in disguise, like pretend to be a worker in like some low part of the company or whatever. And the boss will typically discover that, if I'm talking to like this this like average worker or whatever. I'm getting all this insight into the company, and like he ends up having this whole like, you know, realization. So like you can use this even if your motives or your level of perfection are not on the level of a tzaddik, of like talking to people about their role in the system in order to build empathy, or they like I don't know, a principal talking to students, you know, and getting like all the information and you know, in terms of like what their input is and stuff. And you can use that to become a tzaddik. Like that can actually facilitate your path to becoming a tzaddik. And similarly, if you're a fool who's on his way to becoming a rasha, then you have to realize that like the more you give into this tendency of hardening yourself to compassion and like withholding your speech in this way, that's just going to be endangering your own goals, you know? Yeah.
You're right, on the practical of your right, not that, right?
Yeah, right. Zach, I think, said the practical of his idea, which has to do with being able to tell the difference between when the Tzadik and the rasha are talking.
Yeah. I was wondering if there was also a way to frame it the way you were.
Meaning like to become a Tzadik and a rasha from, yeah.
But I didn't touch that perspective.
Yeah. Okay, so let's officially end the shiur here, and then we can discuss if there's anything else to discuss for now.
So I have two things to say. So the thing I wanted to say was that the reason why I like that last idea is because I feel like a lot of the time, I mean, this is just something that I think, a lot of the time I kind of forget that like they're like, you don't just start out as a tzaddik or a rasha, you know what I mean? Like, because they're in my mind, like they're characters, quote unquote, but like I know that it's practical. So I feel like this is helpful just in terms of like recognizing that like there really is like a path to becoming one or the other, and like you can literally be in the same exact circumstances, and yet you can still, you know, it's like opposite extremes.
Yeah, and it is an interesting one because I feel like some psukim, the way it depicts the tzaddik's behavior is very out of reach. But I feel like this is one, either mine or Zach's, that like it's like an accessible idea. You know, like you're not going to totally overhaul your personality that way in an instant, but yeah.
I think it's also accessible. I think,
yes, yeah.
Yeah, a person can try to think about how what they're saying can be perceived by those.
Yeah, right. And that, like I said, I think it's the biggest advantage of your idea in my mind is it most flows from what we have been talking about in the last psukim. I just don't remember them enough to know which ones are which. Yeah.
But to that practical point, I feel like that's also where I like Shlomo's analogy of high quality silver, because there's a huge range of like low to high quality. Yeah. And so it implies that like any filtration you do to your speech is already improving the quality. Right. You don't need to go straight.
Exactly. Right. You could go in degrees. Yeah. It's good.
I have a question on that. So you're comfortable saying that like an outsider should be able to distinguish between someone who's like actually purifying, saying small because it's actually good ideas, or someone who's like saying small because they don't want to share. But like, should an outside person judge each statement on its own? Because like we said, a bad person could say good stuff.
So I think it's dangerous to do so. So it is true, but I think that it has to be, I think knowing the person's intentions is important to understanding the value of what they're saying. So it is possible to like then, you know, deconstruct what they're saying further and maybe take out something possibly. But I think that like if someone gives you advice, rather than saying like, oh, how is this advice true? First looking at the intention of that advice and seeing if they're like if it's motivated by self-interest or truly to help you, will lend a lot to knowing what to do with that advice.
I mean, just put it in terms that we've had is you have to look at the entire rhetorical situation. You know, like the speaker is part of it. And let's say, for example, a good example of like, if it's a politician speaking and you try to evaluate the ideas on their own merit, like that might not be reflective of the actual reality. You know, like, yeah, it might be a good idea in abstract, but if it's coming from this politician who is like, number one, a politician, number two, like this politician, then it might not be, you know, implemented in the way that you think. Like it might actually change your understanding of like, you know, the meaning or why they're saying it, you know.
Like an example that came to mind just now, I don't know why like it took till now, but I had a doctor's appointment once and I had a question about something. It was like a dermatologist, and I just had a question about like a cream or something. And he said to me, like, well, I went to school for like 4 years. So before you ask me these questions, spend 3 hours on Google and then I'll come to you. Huh. And it was basically him saying like, you're not qualified to ask me questions. And it was purely motivated out of self-interest to like I don't know, separate himself from me and not have to deal with my questions. But I can imagine another scenario where I talk to someone who's very educated and who would say, you know, with 3 hours of research, you can come up with some very interesting perspectives and like ideas. And like that advice of searching something for 3 hours on Google could mean a lot coming from that.
Right.
From this guy, it was useless.
Yeah, that's a good example, right? Same content, but
the motivation was purely self-interest.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to distinguish is to know how to act.
No, well, yes, to act upon it, but like to differentiate between the people and what they say is, ultimately how to act.
Yeah, and I think that's in the muscle also, in the sense of like, am I getting like valuable silver, or am I getting like something that's worthless? You know, like in terms of like, what am I getting from this?
Right. Yeah, like the doctor who's trying to brush you off, the message you're getting is not 3 hours of research would be good. The message you're getting is he wants to brush you off, and the way that he's doing that is telling you to go research. Right. As opposed to if the person is clearly like trying to like tell you a good way to get information, then the message is 3 hours of research will give you good information, and that's something that you want to act on.
Right, 100%. And I just feel like I've gotten that sense on a more subtle level from just successful people in general. Like I used that example before, but I really feel like I've met successful people who genuinely like want to help the younger generation. Or, like want to distill some information to you that'll help you in your career. And others who are extremely miserly with their success, and they're like, well, this is mine. Like you don't deserve, like why do you deserve this? You know, like I built this from nothing, and you think you can just like come in, you know, so like the one liner they'll give you is either a wild goose chase or just a stumbling block or useless, or you know, it's just like the place it's coming from is like totally different.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah.
Rabbi Schneeweiss.
Yes, Leslie.
Do you recognize that silver has many medicinal purposes?
Yeah, I don't know if they knew that, but I definitely know. I've heard such things.
In other words, even with this virus, they built masks that had silver.
Israel thing? Israel do this? Yeah, I think I heard. I thought it was copper also.
So I was wondering if you could. I was wondering if you could say that. In other words, with the Chacham, that his tongue is not only refined, but he's able to give you advice, which is curative. In other words,
so I hear what you're saying. I think if that were what Shlomo wanted to convey, I think there'd be a lot more ways to convey a mushal of like medicine. Like I don't think he would go to valuable metal. You know, I don't even think that he. I mean, you could say that it's useful and keep it in the way that we were saying that silver's utility, but like I think curative. I think you could just literally say like his tongue is like medicine, or his tongue is like the trufa, like a remedy. Yeah, right. Yeah, or the refuah. You know, like there's a lot of things like that. That's what I say about that.
I'm just saying. At this point,
I didn't hear anything that anyone said.
In other words, I'm saying you could add it at this point.
I can add it at this point.
In other words, in your understanding, of a chacham speaking with your best interest at heart, be taken as that it has curative properties because they know what to say,
right?
When to say it,
right. So I'm just saying that that's not what this pasuk is teaching. Because if it were, then I think he would use a more explicit medicinal thing. Like he says, he says earlier in Mishlei is rifutzki lanafshecha, or shikui latmosecha, that my words are a healing to your soul and a cure for your belly button. And I don't know why he says belly button, but like, you know, like I guess that was like a health thing back then. So like, that's what I would expect him to say if he's trying to emphasize the curative property. And that's not what he's saying here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So when you were when we were summarizing the ideas, it just had a flash in my mind about the Tzadik that he is used to and accustomed to refining his ideas so he has minimal speech, whereas rasha in quote unquote sharing his ideas, but not really. His small speech is different. And I just had a picture of this cartoon of a wise man on a mountain, and people are seeking his wisdom, and it's kind of like less is more. And so the caption is, to the people that are seeking his wisdom, have you just tried turning it off and then turning it on again?
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so let's stop the recording here and talk business.